Am I the a-hole for not giving my siblings a percentage of house our mother lived in? I, 35 female, bought my first house when I was 23 for my mom and me to live in after renting for many years. I paid the $80,000 deposit and my mom helped with the mortgage, paying $300 a week while we lived there together. I did this because I didn't want to live alone or pay rent to someone else, which allowed me to improve my finances. When I moved out at 27 with my husband and later had 3 kids, my mom started paying $450 a week, and I covered the rest of the mortgage, which wasn't much. Now my mom has passed away, and my 2 sisters, 38 and 40, think they should get part of the house. I don't agree. They say that since I already own another house, I don't need it, and they want to split it 3 ways and rent it out. I've said no, because my husband and I do not want to rent it out. It hurts me to think of someone else living in my mother's house, and I know they couldn't afford the mortgage and their own bills. Because of this, they've started arguing and calling me selfish because they think I already have everything, and they don't. But I have not spent over $200,000 on that house just to give it to someone else for free. They also believe that since house prices have gone up significantly, I stand to earn an extra couple $100,000, which I might, but I always paid for the property taxes and any maintenance needed. However, I do know my mother spent her money on this house over the years, and I am forever grateful she could help me out. So I offered each of them $5,000, which is all I can spare after having to pay for most of my mother's funeral and headstone. But they believe it's not enough and are continuing to argue with me about this. Have any of you experienced this? Just for newcomers, as I know some are confused, no arrangement was made. My mother paid well below market rent. 2 houses down just listed their house for $650 weekly. Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Wait a minute. You bought this house, and it's in your name, and they want it why? Because your mom lived there? Is this house entirely in your name? Did your mom have any stake in it? Yes, that's why they want it. They think they're entitled to it because she paid half and lived in it, so they see it as partly hers. But the house is fully in my name. Honestly, I always thought of it as my mom's house and never really saw it any other way, but I won't ever say that to them. Then absolutely not the a-hole. The fact is you bought the house. The name and mortgage are entirely in your name. All the risk was on you and you are the final owner. Your mother at that point was effectively more like a tenant. Had her name been on the deed and mortgage, I would say at best your sisters may be entitled to 1/3 of the portion of what your mother paid into the home, with you also retaining 1/3 since you're also a living relative. I don't know how inheritance laws work where you live, but no, they want something for nothing. They did not contribute financially, but want all the gains. They also have no legal claim. Your mother was not the owner. Not the a-hole. If you hadn't bought that house, your mother would have continued renting. So the money she spent on the mortgage would still not be there anyway, and there would be nothing for your siblings to ask for. At least that's the way I look at it. The money your mother spent was the same as paying rent. It just so happens that you were the landlord. It's your house. Do with it what you wish. That's how I see it. Thank you. I needed clarification from unbiased people because all I've heard these past weeks is that I was in the wrong, and I began doubting myself. Edit/mini update. I've read most of your comments, and most of you think I'm not the a-hole, so thank you. Sorry, I couldn't reply to everyone, but there were just too many, especially with the kids keeping me busy. My middle sister called again, saying I'm being greedy and that her daughter should get a share too. I love my niece, as she's my only niece and very special to me, but I still said no. In my mind, she's always welcome to stay at my home or the other house anytime once everything is sorted. But she won't receive any percentage of the house because her mother didn't contribute anything. I told my sister to stop calling about it, or she wouldn't be welcome at my house. I don't want my children hearing or seeing their mom and aunt arguing, nor do I want my niece to hear it. She said that was fine because she wouldn't want to visit someone so greedy anyway. Next story. Am I the a-hole for deciding I am never having a relationship with my siblings after they contacted me so I could apologize for exposing our father's abuse of me? When I 23 male was 7, my father physically assaulted me so badly that I was kept out of school for 3.5 weeks to hide the fact that he assaulted me. It happened when my mother sent me in to wake him up for breakfast one morning, and he was not okay with kids being in their bedroom. He didn't care that my mother had sent me and told me to go inside if he didn't wake up from me knocking. I can remember every second of his attack, and it messed me up. My mother covering for him made it worse, and I became so angry. From that day onward, my father's temper toward me was explosive, and he threw things at me multiple times over the next 5 years. I became viciously angry toward my mother for standing by and trying to minimize what he did to me and what he was actively doing to me. Even knowing I was terrified of my father and of being beaten again didn't get my mother to act and protect me. I never hit or physically attacked her, but there was a lot of yelling, cursing at her, and calling her out for the bad mother she was. That's not to say I wasn't angry at my father too. In a sense, I was, but the fear was significantly stronger, especially knowing my father could put me in such a world of hurt. I had trouble sleeping because I'd replay the attack over and over again. It got to the point where I was screaming at her so loudly one night while she was excusing what he did and was doing that a neighbor called the police, and that's when things started to get better. CPS and the police investigated, and I had to undergo some medical exams to check if any long-term damage was done. Spoiler alert, there was. My father was forced to leave the home, and my mother said she did not feel safe with me in the home, so I was placed in foster care. My father was never allowed back into the home with my mother and younger siblings. I never went back home either. My mother's and my relationship could never recover from all of that. She didn't feel safe around me, and I couldn't stop hating her. I've done a lot of therapy since going into foster care. The real therapy for me started when I left foster care and chose my own therapist. Before that, it felt very much like the therapists just wanted to tick some boxes and not really help me. I've been on my own for years now, but it's easily the best my life has ever been. I have friends again, a social life, and a happiness I didn't know as a child. A few weeks ago, my siblings, 19 and 21, found me on social media and said they wanted to connect with me. When I replied, they went straight to asking me for an apology. They told me they grew up without a dad because of me, and that they couldn't forgive me for it. They said they had wanted to see him but risked him getting sent to jail if they were caught. They said his criminal record was all my fault, and that the criminal record was the reason for their lack of contact. They told me they didn't care about my issues and that I ruined their lives. I asked if they knew what he did, and they said they didn't care. I described it in graphic detail to them over 2 messages, and they still said they did not care. They wanted a dad. So I told them to never contact me again, and that I didn't care if they matured and realized how wrong that was in 20 years, because I wanted nothing to do with them. I was talking to some friends about it after I sent the message back to my siblings and blocked them. One of them asked me if I was sure I should close the door forever. She said they're still young enough to be screwed up from it all, and that she'd like to think we could support each other someday. I told her it doesn't matter if they grow enough to understand and do better, because I won't ever trust them after they said that. I said it shows they care just as much as our mother did, and I'm not opening that door ever again. She said she found it sad. The rest of my friends 100% understood me though. But it did make me wonder if it's an a-hole move to write them off forever because of our current ages. I know for me it doesn't make a difference, but that doesn't mean I can't be an a-hole. Not the a-hole. They don't realize that with you gone, they were next. They wouldn't believe that even if someone else said it to them. But he didn't mind throwing things at me in front of them or when they were in the house. It's not that far removed from hurting them with me out of the way. All that rage had to go somewhere else. I'm sorry you went through all of that. It's beyond the pale. I hope one day they learn better, but it is not your job to teach them, and they are unwilling to be taught. Thank you. I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone, and I hope my siblings can realize that. But I also hope they will respect that I do not want them to reach out to me again. Yup, it would still be a sad situation if, say, they were 8 and 10 when they said they wanted their dad around and didn't care about the abuse you endured. It's hard for kids to grasp abuse, long-term consequences, etc. But they are adults now when they said these things. Plus, you told them about the abuse, so they are fully aware, even if they don't completely understand. and they can't claim ignorance while stubbornly blaming you. They are old enough to experience consequences like no contact. It's also the fact that defending the assault of any 7-year-old is wrong. The 7-year-old being me shouldn't make it okay. At a certain age, you know hurting a child that young is wrong. Not liking the person or blaming them for other things shouldn't erase how wrong it is. But they don't care because it's me, and that is so concerning. It's also not healthy for me or something I could ever get over. Next story. Am I the a-hole for sending my mom fake pictures of my son because she refused to stop sharing them on social media? I have a 6-year-old son. When he was born, I shared his pictures with a group of people I trusted. This included my mother. The entire group knew that my husband and I did not want these shared publicly. My mom shared them on her Facebook with everyone. I stopped sharing with her entirely. We live on different continents, so that was the only way she would have seen him, except when we visit back and forth. We recently had our second child. My mom begged for pictures. I made her promise not to share them. I said that I was only sending them to her and that I would know if she shared them. Then I generated a bunch of pictures and sent them to her. Within a week, I found them on my aunt's Facebook. I called my mom and asked what the hell. She said it wasn't her fault because she didn't post them. I asked her how my aunt got them then, and she went silent. A problem came up though. One of my cousins pointed out that all the pictures were generated. My mom got mad that I had sent her fake pictures and demanded real ones. I declined since she obviously can't be trusted. This is causing stress among my family and friends back home. Some think I'm wrong for being so strict about my children's images online. Some think I was a jerk for sending fake pics. Most understand why I did what I did, but some of them still think I'm being cruel to my mom. You're the a-hole for using Gen AI to make fake pics of kids, when all it does is scrub the internet and scan faces of other parents' kids without their permission to generate a pic for you to send to your mom. It's also killing the planet. But not the a-hole for wanting to protect your kids' identities. Just don't send your mom any photos. I used pictures of the royal family. Absolute power move, not the a-hole. That's hilarious. She needs to respect your boundaries regarding your children's privacy. Too bad your cousin spoiled the fun. It would have been priceless if she had lived in that fake bubble forever. Not the a-hole. You handled the whole thing in the most efficient and funniest way. Props to you, OP. My daughter has the same issue. Her other mother-in-law would post everything. Now she only sends photos where the kids are shot from behind, faces in shadow with big sun hats, hidden by the pet, etc. Her mother-in-law took it even further by entering her baby in a national baby contest, LOL. I like this idea. I love that idea too. If she complains that she never sees their faces, you can start drawing her pictures of your children. Round circle face, dot eyes, squiggly hair, etc. Remind mom you're a budding artist and it may take a few years of lessons to learn how to draw portraits accurately. But she's welcome to post your artwork progress on her fridge. After all, it's a parent's job to encourage your artistic endeavors. Collages, cubism, surrealism, pointillism, mixed media. I'm sure your creativity will blossom. If she can't respect your rules, she doesn't get cool grandparent things like a custom canvas tote bag with your kiddos' smiling faces on it, or a throw pillow with her pictures. My mom had throw pillows made with the dogs' faces on them and asked if I could make her a set with the grandkids so they didn't feel left out. Hilariously, the kids love the pillows so much, and not once have they accidentally or intentionally been posted online. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give out my son's savings account information? A couple of years ago, I set up a special savings account for my son. Each month, we deposit $25 into it, as well as a small portion of our tax return every year. We hope to increase the amount one day, but for now, this is what we can afford. On top of that, anytime family gives us money for his savings, I immediately transfer money from our bank account into my son's savings account. Currently, I am the only one who has access to it because my husband wasn't able to make it to the bank the day I set it up. He was called into work on his day off, which sucks, but it is what it is for now. I don't hide the account information from my husband. He knows how much is in it. He can see the monthly withdrawals from our joint account into the savings account, and he can ask at any time to see it through my bank app. He's the only person I ever want to have access to it until our son is older. The problem is that my mother-in-law has decided she wants to deposit money into his account monthly. I told her to either give me cash or deposit it into our joint account, and I will transfer it. But she wants my son's savings account information. I told her very simply that I would not be giving out my son's account information to anyone, and that the two options I gave her were the only options she had. She was definitely not happy about that, but I do not care because I refuse to give out my son's private information. This was back in December, and we haven't seen her since because we've been sick a lot. She usually texts me every so often, but she hasn't reached out to me since the last visit, which is very unusual for her. I wonder if she is really that upset and if I am the a-hole for refusing to give her that information. But she wants my son's savings account information. Like, just the account number to transfer or the login information. There's a difference. I didn't clarify what she was referring to. I assume it was the account and routing numbers to make a transfer, but it's not something I would give out anyway. Multiple family members know we have the account. That's why many of them give us cash for his birthday or Christmas. And they know I just transfer the money directly into his savings. Why aren't you comfortable giving the routing number to transfer money? It's not like they can get into the account that way or have access to it. It seems like you're making extra work for yourself. It is mainly about consent. We have both experienced people holding things over us because they gave us money, so we owed them favors or services, or whatever it was at the time. We don't feel comfortable putting our son in that position until he is old enough to understand how important his savings are, but also old enough to say no if someone ever tried to make him feel like he owed them for giving him money. If anyone tried to do that, at least we are responsible for what is accepted into his account, and we can deal with the fallout. Not sure why you wouldn't just set up an automatic monthly deposit from her account into your son's. You can do that without giving out your son's private information. Honestly, my husband and I don't want to do that. It might sound weird, but it's a consent thing. Our son is too young to understand or consent to who he receives money from. Our son would personally want the money to spend at the toy store rather than put it in his savings account because he's a kid, LOL. So until he is old enough to understand the importance of his savings account, we don't want to give any kind of access to anyone. It's just what feels right to us.